All right, let's dive into a story that's going to flip everything you think you know about fairness, reward, and power completely upside down. We all want things to be fair. It's just hardwired into us, right? But what if the whole point of the story we're looking at today isn't about fairness at all? What if it's aiming for something totally different? So, at the heart of this whole thing is a really old story, a parable, about a boss whose payroll methods would, let's be honest, give any HR manager a complete meltdown. And you know what? This story is designed to get under your skin. And it's just as good at doing that today as it was thousands of years ago. Okay, so this story, it's called The Parable of the Vineyard Workers. And let me tell you, it is a masterclass in messing with our expectations.
So the setup is pretty simple. You've got this vineyard owner, right? He needs workers. So he goes out and hires a crew early in the morning. Then he hires another group at 9 a.m. Then at noon, another at 3 p.m. And get this, a final group at 5 p.m. That's just 1 hour before the workday ends.
Now, to really get what's going on here, we have to talk about the pay. The first guys who were hired, they agreed to work for 1 denarius. And you gotta understand, this isn't just a few bucks. A denarius was a big deal. It was a standard day's wage, basically enough money to feed your whole family for that day. It was survival. Okay, so the day's over. And this is where the owner does something kind of weird. He tells his foreman to pay everybody, but to do it in reverse. Start with the guys who are hired last, the ones who work the least. It's a brilliant way to build the suspense, right? And here it is, the first big shock. The group that only worked for 1 hour gets called up, and they get a full denarius, a whole day's wage. Can you just imagine how they felt? I mean, if you're still looking for work at 5 p.m., you're probably thinking your family isn't going to eat tonight. So this payment, it's not just generous, it's a lifeline. So you can see where this is going, can't you? The guys who've been sweating it out all day, they see this happen, and of course their eyes light up. They start doing the math. Hey, if those guys got a whole denarius for 1 hour, what are we going to get for 12 hours in the blistering sun? And there it is, 1 denarius. They also get 1 denarius. Now look, that's the exact amount they agreed to. Technically, it's fair, but you can bet it doesn't feel fair. It feels like a slap in the face. And their reaction, their complaint, that's where we get to the real point of this whole story. So this brings us to what's really bothering them. Because when you dig into it, their anger isn't really about being underpaid. It's all about the fact that those other guys got paid so generously. And this is the absolute key. Listen to what they say. They don't complain, "You didn't pay us enough." No, they say, "You have made them equal to us." Us, the ones who worked all day in the heat. See, their problem wasn't an injustice done to them. It was the owner's wild generosity towards someone else. The original Greek word they use here is isos. You might recognize it from geometry, like an isosceles triangle with two equal sides. It means perfectly mathematically equal. So what they're really mad about is losing their status. All their hard work didn't put them on a higher level than the guys who barely broke a sweat. And the owner's response just cuts right through it all. He hits them with this killer question. Are you envious because I am generous? Bam. He's basically saying, let's call this what it is. This isn't about fairness. This is about envy. So what we're seeing here is that this story is meant to introduce a totally different way of looking at the world. It's this upside-down kingdom with a value system that just doesn't line up with how we normally think. Think about it. In our world, the logic is pretty clear. You get what you earn. The first person in line gets the reward. Status is everything. But in this upside-down kingdom, it's completely different. You get what you need. The last person, the one who is most desperate, is welcomed. And real power? Well, that's found in serving others. And just in case you're thinking, okay, that's a nice story, but it's just a story, the narrative immediately pivots and shows us this exact same mindset playing out in real time among Jesus's own disciples. So the mother of two of the disciples, James and John, comes up to Jesus and basically asks if her boys can have the best seats in the house, the positions of highest honor in his kingdom. They're still stuck on that first place is the only place logic. And the best part? The other 10 disciples get furious. Not because it was a bad thing to ask, but because they wanted those top spots for themselves. They're all thinking the same way.
All right, so Jesus pulls them all together. He sees what's going on, and he's about to drop the final and maybe the most radical lesson of this whole chapter. He's going to completely redefine what greatness even means. He tells them, look around at how rulers in this world operate. They love to show off their power, they lord it over everyone, and they expect to be served. But then he says, that's not how it's going to be with you. In his kingdom, if you want to be great, you have to become a servant. If you want to be first, you have to be willing to be last, to be a slave. And then he gives them the ultimate example. Himself. He, the one they call their leader, their king, he didn't come to have people wait on him. He came to serve them. He came to give his life for them. That right there is the logic of this upside-down kingdom.
And that all leads to this famous line. You've probably heard it before, but it's not just some clever turn of phrase. It's a total demolition and rebuilding of how we think about what makes someone important. So the takeaway is this. The whole system of this kingdom, it isn't based on our idea of fairness. Not at all. It's built on a radical, almost shocking generosity. A system that gives people what they actually need, not what they've earned or what they deserve. It's a kind of grace that's, well, it's better than fair. And that leaves us with one last question to kind of chew on. It's really easy to put ourselves in the shoes of those workers who were there all day, right? To feel their anger. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if, in the grand scheme of things, we aren't the first workers at all? What if every single one of us is actually the last worker, showing up at 5 p.m. with nothing to offer, just hoping for a kind of generosity that we know deep down we haven't earned?